Hey everyone, and welcome to the Best of 3 Call of Duty Esports podcast. I'm your host, Josh. SalvationsElite. To my right is Sam, Bash_Bo3, and to our farthest right, per huge, is Rex Shady Nero. And guys, this is episode 50 of the Best of 3 Call of Duty Esports podcast. We're excited to get our 50th episode in, almost hitting the 52 week mark. On the year. Not missing a week.
No.
Let it be known.
Although I have missed a week.
You both have missed one week, which I mean, hey, it happens to the best of us. Wasn't it back-to-back weeks too?
It was back-to-back.
Absolutely crazy. Absolutely crazy. But we got a lot to talk about today, obviously. I mean, holy cow, what a week of news.
Whoa.
Obviously, right when we were posting the podcast last week, literally the second we were posting the podcast last week, the OpTic news went live.
Come on, Hex.
Enable. The news went live there.
And
then a ton of drama this week with Scump v. the CDL, Crim versus Snipers, and Black Ops Cold War's release. Before we get any of that, guys, I've got to ask, guys, what is going on?
Well, Josh, I'm feeling like my grandmother has just baked me an apple pie. And I'm sitting at the table. There's some linoleum on the floor. And she comes scooting over in her sandals, plops it down in front of my table, and what does it say on it? League play. I'm like, Grandma, are you Vonderhaar? She goes, and she takes off her mask. She goes, yes, Rex, I am. And I have a beard. Now eat your apple pie league play. And I said, all right, Grandma, you're the boss. And I felt pretty good, and it filled me up.
Wow. Where was your actual grandma?
Vonderhaar is my grandma.
Dude, I wish Vonderhaar was my grandma. The thing,
like she was like hiding this whole time for the big reveal. Is just league play and stuff,
I mean, Vonderhaar's not my grandma, but he is my daddy.
Yeah. Wow.
Sam, how you doing?
I'm doing great.
Yeah, hyped, enjoying Cold War.
I am.
Having that itch.
We'll get into it more, but I've been sitting at work today, and I was like, man, I could just pop on my PC right now.
Play some Cold War right now.
Oh, it feels so good.
You should figure out a way to play some like remote.
I know. I wish like remote to my desktop at work.
Yep. That should be the play. But guys, like I said, we got a lot to get into today. And if you're not already, you can watch on YouTube. You can listen on Apple Podcasts and listen on Spotify. Ooh. And you can drop comments on YouTube and reviews on Apple Podcasts. And today, we might read one or two. Rex is doing it today. Rex, what you got for us?
It's my turn now. So we got Chicago Huntswoman. I haven't read these yet.
I love it.
This podcast is the greatest thing. Yes, okay, 5-star review, Chicago Huntswoman. This podcast is the greatest thing I've ever listened to. Wow. I've listened to every episode at least twice, and I'm writing down my favorite moments from each episode on a piece of paper to show my dedication to this podcast. They give the most honest insights and...
are you okay over there?
And and off-brand Momo always coming in with the hot takes.
He paused for that.
Sam has the most chill voice, almost better than Formals. And Josh does an excellent job moving things along. Well done, boys. Well done. Dude, I hate that I'm known as off-brand Momo now.
When you pause, I thought you sounded like someone die. That was off-brand Momo.
I should have just been like, phone died. I can't read it, guys. Don't know what happened.
Yeah. Oh, no.
We also got a second review.
We're going for round 2.
5 stars, Eddie Kruger. Best of 3 is the gateway drug to the insane universe that is competitive God. My first year getting into the competitive scene is this podcast. It's single-handedly the greatest resource anyone could have. Every episode is a banger. Shout out to the boys. Jeez. Keep the heat coming. And I'm out.
Oh, baby. That was some quality.
Thank you, Eddie Kruger.
Eddie Kruger and Chicago Huntswoman.
Chicago Huntswoman.
Doing their thing. But today, like we normally been doing, we've been doing the quick question.
Yes.
And we got a interesting one today.
Might not be.
Thanks, Sam.
It came to my mind.
So,
okay.
In a 1v1 with in their current form is the key to this question. In their current form, who would you have winning a 1v1? Killa or Nameless?
Man.
I mean, my first question that comes to mind is, does like, they playing on a Cold War here? What game are they playing on?
I think Cold War.
Yeah. It's a new game.
Cold War.
Oh, man. Oh,
so
wow.
here's the thing. Killa,
okay.
Sloss, I think, is definitely going to have more thirst to get that win. Like, he's going to be way more going to want that win than I think Nameless is going to want that win.
Yeah.
But if they're both going, like, dummy hard, my vote's Nameless.
Nameless.
But if it's just, like, casual, I think Killa.
I mean, who do you think plays more video games nowadays? I feel like it's Killa. The dude streams, like, all the time.
Maybe it is
Nameless
Killa.
does have a consistent stream schedule too, though, with like Warzone.
He plays a lot of Warzone. You're right.
Yeah. So like, would Warzone carry over?
I mean, like, Nameless was the more recent like pro, technically.
Right.
Nameless, yeah.
Nameless was.
Yep.
I mean, Killa was playing the AM scene in World War II at the beginning of the year and stuff, and grinding for that. But I mean, I'd probably put my money on Nameless at this point too, right?
I haven't seen Killa play in a long time.
I'll go with Killa. I'm gonna say some raw instinct takes over here.
Putting some faith in Sloss.
Yeah,
all right, I respect that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you know who I would put above either. Give me Pack with the Argus, and that's my man.
The
Easy
accuracy is 100%.
100%.
Oh yeah,
100%. But I mean, we got a ton of news to talk about today. So without further ado, let's get right into the news. The Call of Duty News of the Week. Oh, the cat rocking with it.
Oh yeah.
The Black Ops Cold War main theme. The news of the week drop. Oh yeah. I mean, it wasn't that funny.
I mean, it was pretty good though.
Oh man, but holy cow, guys! Like I said, like I teased a little teaser at the beginning. The news of the week's nuts.
It is.
I mean, should we just start off with the banger that happened? Right at the beginning.
Hit him with it.
OpTic Chicago.
Oh wow!
It's happened. OpTic Gaming, although not OpTic Gaming, OpTic is back in the league. I mean, this is, we've been going through all the options this whole, like the last, 8 weeks?
Long?
How many weeks now at this point?
Yeah.
A long time about what's going to happen, how many options, all the options they have. And of course, it finally happened. The OpTic Chicago was the outcome. No OpTic Gaming, no Chicago Huntsman anymore.
Nope.
It is OpTic Chicago. Sounds like Hex maintained the rights to OpTic Gaming.
Yep.
And OpTic Chicago is the thing now.
Well, yeah, I think he said somewhere
thoughts.
He's contracting out the OpTic brand, or like the OpTic part of OpTic Gaming to NRG.
Yep.
Something like that.
Yep.
Which I think is what we all were kind of guessing is what it would be.
Yeah.
But yeah, still pretty cool. I love that OpTic's back in the scene. And they're changing it, the whole thing. Like it's just nothing but great, to be honest.
Yeah.
It's going to bring, their homestands are going to be, super, super nuts now.
Oh, I cannot wait for that.
Oh, my word.
That first LAN, oh, my gosh.
Let's go, OpTic. It's going to be insane. It's just the amount of chance and just, holy moly. I mean, think about, just the overarching, what COD did this offseason. I mean, the finesse that Hex played with the CDL and how, 100T wasn't willing to get in. Partly because they were going to have to overpay for the LA spot and the branding issues. Yep. And so then we end up with the Huntsman and no 100T in the league. Then this year, Hex pulls the ultimate finesse, reacquires OpTic Gaming, lends the OpTic part out to the Huntsman. Now we got Chicago.
Thieves.
We got OpTic Chicago, and you're selling the spot to 100T to let LA Thieves back in the league with 100T back in the LA spot. What a finesse.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I mean, this is just the biggest ultra brain plays from Hector Rodriguez.
Hex probably just increased the
viewership. It wasn't really part of the plan, but
no, but I bet you could probably say he's going to increase the viewership at least 15-20% at least.
Oh yeah, I mean with 100T back and OpTic back now, real OpTic
because of that move. That's insane. We now have. I'm saying 4 powerhouses.
The viewership on his vlogs is insane, and the viewership on the Huntsman content, or on now the Chicago OpTic content, or the OpTic Chicago content now is nuts.
Yeah, we've now got Empire, we've got 100 Thieves, we've got OpTic, and we've got FaZe.
Yep,
4 big names that are gonna be driving viewership, and it's gonna be amazing.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, like literally, like Hex's vlogs have been popping off.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just trying to find the viewership. Here we go. So we've got like 161,000 views for his like little first video, 369,000, 236, 193, 100K already on his vlog he posted today.
Yeah.
Like, holy cow, that is insane. And so I mean, like if he can keep that hype up, and like nothing's really changed with like Chicago's like the content he's been putting out besides just the fact that he has the brand back.
I know.
So
it just means so much.
It's insane. And I mean, I don't know. I mean, how do you guys feel about the OpTic Chicago? I'm surprised they went with OpTic Chicago personally. I thought they were going to go with Chicago OpTic.
Yeah. No, that is interesting.
Because I've been saying like Chicago OpTic, and now like having to say like OpTic Chicago is like a little bit weird to me still.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just mind blowing, really.
Right. I mean, I don't know if it rolls off the tongue as well. Like I feel like Chicago OpTic really flows better than OpTic Chicago, but whatever. Do what they want. OpTic is like the first word of the OpTic gaming, so like I see why it's there.
Yeah.
Is this the only team to do that? To have their name then the city? Or am I just?
I mean, Atlanta FaZe is the only other one, right? LA Thieves too, I guess.
No.
Now.
But they're Atlanta FaZe.
Atlanta FaZe is
right.
still,
I'm saying
not
like,
FaZe Atlanta.
Who actually used the org name though?
Oh,
No,
but he's just talking about having the name before the city.
Oh.
Like if it would be like at FaZe Atlanta.
Yeah.
Yeah, because everyone else is like the Seattle Surge, the Minnesota Rocker, the New York Subliners,
Paris
Dallas
Legion.
Empire, Paris Legion. So that's maybe why it feels weird.
That is strange.
OpTic Chicago.
Yeah.
So it is a little weird.
Yeah. I don't know if that's like a thing like where he was trying to set himself apart or like he was forced to. I don't know.
I would imagine it was a set himself apart thing. Or, no, I bet I know exactly what it was. It was the logo. OGOC.
Oh, yeah.
That's what it was.
Huh. Probably.
That just hit me right there.
Good call.
But yeah, so that's probably what it was. But I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, it could not be better news for. I mean, at this point, you guys have probably already processed the whole thing. It's been over about a week at this point now. But I mean, it's just really, really exciting. Their green is a little bit different. It's a mixture of the Huntsman and Chicago's green, which is really interesting.
Yeah.
Or the Huntsman and OpTic's original green. So that's pretty interesting.
It is interesting.
And all the teasers we saw and all their PCs are different colors and all their logos, their branding. That was all leading up to the announcement. And it was definitely like kind of felt inevitable at this point. And I mean, the momentum now for the CDL is pretty exciting. I think moving forward.
Well, before like everyone's talking about how like the CDL did pretty good for his first year, like despite everything, like people did pretty great. And now we just even got this additional thing with 100 Thieves coming back in, OpTic, the name OpTic's back where it's supposed to be and back in the league. Like that is big wins and something that was already winning.
Yeah,
so it's just gonna even skyrocket even further,
dude. Absolutely. So I mean, I couldn't be more excited, honestly. Just overall for like the hype that it's going to bring for the CDL. Yeah. It only helps the viewership and everything else moving forward. So that's what I'm all about. The growth of the CDL, the popularity of the CDL, and people wanting to watch. I get excited about it. So I think with that, we can kind of transition to the big hot topic of the past like 24 so hours.
Yes.
And I mean, it's not that far off from OpTic. It is right at the heart of OpTic, really. Scump was going off on Twitter. Basically, what started it all was he made a little tweet towards Vonderhaar, not towards Vonderhaar, just about league play as a whole. And basically, we're gonna talk more about that in a second. But basically, he was just like, "Yo, like, how do games not have league play when they launch?" And then Vonderhaar took a little personal. We'll talk more about that in a second. And then it led to a whole thread of him just getting pissed off that like people are getting pissed at him for talking supposedly bad about the games. And then he really let loose. And he kind of like flew some of the dirt that he was talking about earlier and in a whole on thread talking about, basically all of his issues. So what went down was Scump going off on Twitter in a whole on thread. Basically, the whole, you probably already saw at this point. So he said, "I haven't spoken to this publicly recently, but I was fined for playing Raid Shadow Legends during a sponsored stream. It was during the offseason as well, which makes it worse. My channels are my channels. I should be able to do what I please, but apparently I can't." And so he basically said, "I got fined for doing a sponsored stream, so essentially I can't do sponsored streams or on other games at all." is what he specifically kind of specified. And then the second tweet he said was, the CDL also made us sign a player contract in front of them without allowing us to run it by our lawyers at the player summit. It was a sign it now or you can't play at Minnesota type exchange. I'm probably going to get fined for this too, just letting y'all know. So that was kind of like the two tweets, but he was also replying to other people's tweets and kind of just going off and making it a whole fiasco. Okay, what was your initial thoughts on this? And kind of what's the potential fallout of this event? Rex?
I feel like when it comes to like these franchise, like, well, at least with Overwatch, I mean, just Activision in general, like they have this problem even in the Overwatch League with like these contracts and like, it's like on the surface, things seem to be running like very like professionally, like it's actually, you know, like up there with like professional like sports out in the world. But then behind the scenes, we see things like this where it's like, how does that even happen? You know, in like this $1 million league, how is like this crazy stuff happening where they're just like abusing players, like not being knowledgeable about stuff like that? You know, it's like you just have to sign it now. It's like, okay, like, you know, it's just crazy that something like that is even happening.
Yeah, I mean, thoughts?
Yeah, we don't know like the full situation too, right?
Yeah.
Like, I'm not saying I don't trust him, right? But like, what is
Maybe
the full
he doesn't
story?
know something.
Yeah, like maybe he missed something. Maybe, you know, I don't know. Either way, though, like if it is players signing a contract under duress, like without the lawyers, that's ridiculous.
Right. That's the bad part for sure. I mean, like,
very bad part.
You know, the other, like, the counter argument when it comes, like, specifically the stream itself, like the sponsored stream is, you know, I would imagine this wasn't just a rule that, like, they just like, we don't want them doing that. It was, I would imagine it was at least a rule. I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. Like, that probably was put in place by the sponsors that they got for the season. I would imagine it was in place by like Pepsi or you know, something like that. Or I know some of the other sponsors of the league, unless it wasn't.
Yeah.
And if it wasn't, then that really makes no sense.
Yeah.
Like if Pepsi was like, okay, yes, we'll sponsor, but this is our deal. You know, we don't want anybody doing competing brands, blah, 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 blah. Like, if it was that case, then, like, how is Raid Shadow Legends a competing brand with Pepsi? Not really. So I don't know how that would work.
The only competing brand is the CDL.
Is the CDL because they own the COD. They own COD Mobile.
Yeah.
Well, Activision owns COD Mobile. So, yeah, that's what's interesting to me. So they get pissed about a Raid Shadow Legends stream.
Yeah.
Maybe because of COD Mobile. But, like, dude. Scump, I do agree when it comes to like it's the off season specifically. Like there should be no guidelines in the off season.
Absolutely,
a player's business is his business with his channels, at least in my opinion.
Yeah.
I mean, do you have like any like dissenting views on that, or like any other way it could go down?
I mean, it's just weird. Like, I guess I see what you're saying now about them. If they sponsors with the league, then they can't use anybody else. But then these orgs also have their own sponsors, right?
Yeah, that's what gets me weird. Yeah,
so
like, that's
it's
weird.
like you can only use sponsors of your org or of the league, but like nothing else. And I feel like that's pretty abusive, like from the like sponsor side of things, because these are still like kids and like it's still a very like developing field still, that like they're able to pull off some like schemas like this. And it seems like it's kind of what's happening, at least in Overwatch League, and now it's sort of happening in Call of Duty League, but they don't realize Call of Duty League has more like social media weight, like with Scump and Crim. Like these people carry some weight too. Like they could kind of like destroy something too. Some would be like, COD is the worst, stop playing COD, and there'd probably be a lot of fall off.
Yeah, it's funny. I just pulled up Scump's Twitter, and just a few hours ago, he tweeted a sponsored tweet. He said, teamed up with Duracell over the next 6 weeks to show extra life in their Duracell Optimum battery, and free 2-week Xbox Game Pass unlimited subscription when you buy $10 of Duracell Optimum. Dude, so he's sponsoring Xbox. That's a bold strategy.
That's literally just a big, like, just flipping to the bird to
that's a bold move.
Contracts in the leagues.
Considering that, like, COD currently has still an exclusive access for PlayStation.
I mean,
that's a pretty bold strategy to be partnering with Xbox.
He's definitely flexing right there. He's like, do something. What are you gonna do? Kick me out?
Oh, that's funny.
Like, he is too valuable, you know?
Dasher replied, living on the edge.
Yeah.
That is amazing. So, I mean, yeah, again, Scump. So the next thing, he kind of like tweeted some frustration with that in response to it. Basically like, you know, like, what am I supposed to do? And look, we all kind of know this. Like, Scump, with the sponsors he was doing, again, if he quit competing, he did full-time content, he could get some pretty insane sponsors that I'm sure would probably live up to the same that he's the current contract he's getting right now, whatever it is. Even if it's $1 million a year, I'm sure he could get that if he started grinding content every day with the sponsors he could get for his channel. Like, you know, and so then he tweeted like basically like a small threat to retirement. And it was more like a, you know, like, I'm not sure, like, it's going to force me to retire if I'm going to have to do this. And so, I don't know. I mean, like, what type of, like, situation in a world where the CDL is, you know, seeing this, and then with their rules, you can't let Scump walk because of a freaking rule about sponsorships.
No, they won't. But they can keep fining him. They can keep fining him, though. But, like, unless he like pushes him to retirement, unless he like really flexes and he's like, I'm just not gonna pay the fine, and then it's like, all right, like, okay, fine, you know, because you just cannot get rid of him.
Yeah, that'd be interesting,
right? But like, if it pushes him to the edge, like he basically replied to like Bob Morris and was like, or Bob Morris, who's like works with Seattle, used to work with MLG, when talking about the contract situation specifically, said, "Whoa, I didn't even know about this." You know, and he manages Seattle, and he managed Seattle last year and did a lot of work with them. So it's like, what? How did he not know about this? And all the pros were basically like gassing him up, like, thanks for taking one for the team. And like Nick Merckx was like, good for you, brother. Speak on it. That's the only way it'll change for the better.
Yeah. The one thing, like what I said earlier about like not knowing the whole story, not one pro has come out and said that was false either. So it's like everyone seems to be agreeing with him that they were forced to sign a contract under.
Yeah.
So that makes it even worse, honestly.
I feel like the contract thing was like so, like, in a way, it's like they're like in a room. It's like, all right, guys, so for Minnesota, you guys got to sign this contract. Just sign that, and then you guys can play in Minnesota. And like, just read it and sign it. Like, I feel like they did it so casually, but like the contract like had way more impact than like what they were making it seem.
Oh, absolutely.
Which that's just like you should not be doing that. Like, it's not good business practice. But
no, absolutely.
Right. Just like his little tweet with like saying like, you know, I don't want to have to retire over something like this. Yeah. You know, just like the little like, what if I did?
I know.
You know, just the dig. I mean, again, that is scary for the CDL because I mean, realistically, I mean, what percentage of how much do you legitimately think viewership would drop if Scump left? 20%?
Yeah. I mean, who knows? Maybe Hex pulls magic because, like, just think about it. Hex doesn't want Scump to leave either.
Oh yeah, of course not.
That whole brand does not want Scump to leave at all. So it's very like as even as a pro player, but yeah. So Hex probably has a stake in that too, and he'll probably talk Scump down. I feel like,
I agree. I think for Scump, like, you know, I'd imagine his contract continues to increase to compensate for him from the Huntsman. His contract continues to increase to compensate him for the quote unquote in theory losses he'd be taking from not doing content full time. Yeah. So you know, I'd imagine that's why he has by far the most massive contract in the league because of like that compensation aspect of it. But again, like, you know, if he were to retire in some way because of this, like the effects would be felt across the league in the viewership, in the engagement, in the interest, like significantly, probably between 10 to 30%. You know, I wouldn't be surprised if it was over 20%.
Yeah. My only rebuttal would be my only thing would be is Scump has already said back when he did that podcast, like he didn't know if he's going to be playing after the season already. True. So like they may not be scared because they know he may be on his last leg already. So they may not be scared to keep doing this. And then if he quits, their thing could be, well, he's going to retire anyway. I mean, if the rumors are true that we're getting a Modern Warfare Part 2 next year, where it's going to be a near carbon copy of last year. Yeah.
Like that definitely scares some of the pros, I would imagine, and probably doesn't get Scump too excited about doing a round 2 for Modern Warfare.
No, yeah.
The struggle would be real for sure.
Yeah. So yeah, that would be my only thing about like why they wouldn't be scared to keep doing these fines and stuff. But I'm not saying it's right, but
yeah, exactly. So that conversation kind of spilled over into the next conversation, which united a little bit of beef. United a little bit of beef between Crim and Scump.
It did.
Basically, this has been something that we've mentioned before. We talked about on the podcast. The community has talked about it a lot over the past year or two. Is the potential of a union, a players' union in the CDL, and it didn't seem that likely up until yesterday, where basically Crim was like, he tweeted at Scump and was like, "Yo, we had 59 of the 60 players," and he said. And then he said, "Irony in the first degree has been committed." And then Scump replied, "I literally just told Clay I'm in." And then Scump clarified on stream and said that, yes, he was referring to a players union. And right when Scump tweeted about that, Clay hit him up and said, "Yo, this is the plan." And said, these are the things. And Scump said he was not in last year because nobody really told him the details of what it meant or how it would work or what would go down. And so it sounds like this thing is really getting off the ground now, and apparently everyone's in now.
Yeah, which is pretty cool.
And again, why it didn't happen last year, 59 of the 60 were in, but because Scump wasn't, it didn't happen.
Yeah.
Kind of shows the weight that Scump pulls.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. I mean, thoughts on a players union and what it could mean potentially for the CDL and for the players and for what could change?
I think it's great, but unions are usually kind of like a scary thing, and especially something like this. I don't know if anything like this ever been seen before, like with esports and like how it all works. Because Activision has total control over like Call of Duty and everything to do with it. So like they could literally just be like, all right, we're just no more competitive. Like scrap the league, scrap it all, whatever. Because they're rich, like they have a ton of money,
Right. And Activision could literally say, screw you guys. This is exactly how it's going. You're either playing or you're not.
Yeah. If not, 60 new players.
If not, we're just going to do 60 new players. See you later.
Yeah.
Like, in theory, Activision could say that.
I feel like they could just get, the perk is that the players we have such like personalities that if you got rid of everybody, it's like, the numbers I think would drop a lot, right?
Right. In a world where Activision literally flexed their muscle that hard and said, screw you guys, we're doing it this way or you're not playing.
Yeah.
Like literally Scump, Formal, Crim, and Clay could go and create their own league and they would out viewership whatever league CDL tried to make.
Probably, but that's a lot of work to also do something like that.
Oh, it's a ton of work, but at the same time, the infrastructure is there with where CDL is right now. But then Activision could say, no one can do events except for us, and we will sue you.
I was going to say that they're going to start imposing licensing and stuff like that.
In some way, so and then that's probably what would happen. So then no prize money could be won in events that they throw. Things like that, they could make no money. So like again, there's ways that they could do it, but at the same time, like, that's the worry is that Activision just says, screw you guys, we're not even dealing with this like this at all. Like we're just gonna say this is it or there's nothing.
That
would be terrible.
It's scary. But if they want the league to succeed, and I think they do,
it's just a matter of like how much they have invested in it,
Right.
Yeah. Well, they also have like, millionaires / billionaires with these orgs, like investors, like they pull more weight than anybody, and they're throwing money in. They're like, they expect Activision to play ball.
It'd be a bad PR press if Activision is like, screw you guys and screw all of our owners. Like we're doing it this way or the highway. And then you got all the billionaires like Kroenke and the Vikings owners and Gary Vee and so many like legitimate like business powerhouses. Like completely ruining your relationship with them and the brand, and it would hurt Activision for sure, at least in the short term.
Yeah.
So I'd be surprised if they would do it in that way. But again, those are the potential worries of a union that you have to consider, like when it's going down. Obviously, the pros of a union are pretty significant, where you can, generally the issue is that when a players union exists, they're their only real threat they can make is a lockout where they're not playing. What we've seen in the NBA, we've seen in the MLB, we've seen in the NFL, we've seen in the NHL, where the players literally say, we are not playing until this is fixed. And they hold out.
Yeah.
And the CDL cannot take something like that happening right now. So hopefully we never get anywhere close to that. But, those are potential possibilities of having a union system.
Well, that's the thing. Like the CDL, I guess, can take it. But like Activision and just the game Call of Duty itself, it can. It makes a lot of money. And the majority are casual players. Like everybody picks up COD.
Activision can, but the CDL can't. The CDL could not take a lockout right now. That would be horrible.
But I mean, who knows? The CDL might be like, we don't want it either, but like we're forced to do it too, So it all comes down to like Activision.
Right, for sure. So those are the scares that come to mind with a union, and hopefully that's not the case. And again, unions take a lot of like, there's a lot that goes into having a union. You have to have like lawyers that represent you and lots of legal jargon and things like that. Like a lot of communication between all the players in that way, and so it is a lot of work to be able to communicate something like that for a union. So hopefully the players can make something like that happen, but it's not an easy situation for the players right off the rip to put something together like that and then negotiate with the owners and the league and Activision like in that way. So
who do you think the spokesperson is? Like the president of the Call of Duty?
I think it has to either be Clay or Crim.
You would think since Clay did the text with everything, you would assume it's Clay, but Crim also could be the guy. I'm not sure. People want to say Aches and stuff, but like now that Aches isn't in it, like,
I think Clay makes the most sense. He's like, he's pretty like
he's the
good
oldest.
Relations with basically everyone. He's oldest.
Yeah.
He's been in the scene for so long. Like he would make a lot of sense. But I think Crim would also make a lot of sense as well, though. So, I don't know. Any other thoughts of the union? What else would you think they would try to negotiate? The players, like, specifically changes to the game. Like, how far do you think the players would actually take negotiations? Would it just be contract related? Would it be, would they go as far as like game changes, like forcing things like that? Like
maybe like picks and bans, like in CDL. Like instead of having to GA, they can actually just make it like an actual ban. Not that like they can always GA, but it'd be nice if it's just like it actually said you cannot use this, right?
Right. It's just weird because it's like generally like, the CBA, like the collective bargaining agreements that unions have in professional sports are like 10-year agreements. So like how long would a CBA be in the COD League? Would it be like 1 year, 2 years, 3 years? Like how long before you can renegotiate a CBA? Like those are all really interesting conversations because like every year the game changes, but also it's a ton of work to renegotiate a CBA every single year. So like those are interesting conversations to have, like legally, like how a union would actually like work in esports, which I would love to see some like legitimate like lawyers and like sports lawyers and
for sure
agents talk about these things and like have conversations about that, how it could actually potentially play out. That'd be really interesting. So
I'm trying to think of all the things that Slasher and Octane complained about last year, and probably the biggest things were the servers. Like they could probably try to negotiate servers too.
But yeah, like a lot of the stuff's in game though that the players complain about. It's like how much can they actually like leverage their weight to actually make changes in game itself?
And then how far do they want to go? Like maybe just start with the whole sponsorship thing and then go from there. Like,
right?
Do you want to play all those cards all at once?
Right. Like so maybe like a collective voice will be able to like, where the players are like, okay, we want these three things, then maybe like the collective voice will help like communicate those changes, and then it'll just happen.
Yeah, true.
But like, will the players actually be willing to like throw around having a lockout? What issue is worth a lockout to the players? I don't know.
Here's the thing. Not like there's some players that are like Scump. He could do whatever he wants, and like he's gonna be relatively like safe in the end, even if he loses his job. There's players who like if they lose his job, it's like what? Like it just wasn't worth it, right? It's like I was making money.
If competitive COD goes under, 90% of the pros are absolutely screwed.
Yeah.
So it's like that's the worry.
Yeah, like you gotta hope these guys who are like Crim and Clay that are like leading up this charge are also thinking about those guys who don't have a backup plan, like guys who don't have their brand built up yet. It's like
like, duh, of course, Crim, Clay, and Scump are willing to do a lockout because they can just go stream every day and make bank and make YouTube videos.
Yeah.
So it's like, the bigger question is like, someone like Vivid or Apathy. Apathy even has a little bit more fallback than a lot of players, like the random guy out there like a Havoc or any of the younger up and coming players like Awakening or something like that. Like, what are they gonna do if competitive COD goes under?
Ellie,
Yeah, oh yeah, for sure. The guys who are just beginning to build their brands in competitive COD, or guys who don't really have anything exterior. Hopefully, the big fish are looking out for the smaller fish when it comes to branding in the CDL for sure. So that's definitely. Again, there's a lot of weird like angles to take the unionization.
Yeah,
I think overall it's a good thing, but there are some like legitimate question marks that get me a little nervous overall. So let's transition on to a little bit more interesting news as well with the CDL potential system for next year. Hex like leaked it or talked about it on their like little conversation like podcasty. It was so casual, but like. He basically leaked it.
Why is he the only one to keep like leaking things?
Again, I think it's because he knows he can do whatever he wants,
True,
right?
Yeah.
Like, and he benefits from it because it's like he gets clout for like leaking the first information.
Yeah.
But it's ironic because he hates when people leak his stuff, but then he's leaking all the CDL stuff. Oh man, weird. It's funny. But at the same time, I'm here for it.
Absolutely.
So he confirmed that there's not going to be a bubble, which I mean, at this point, I think all of us were kind of like, probably not going to happen.
It was a pipe dream.
Yeah, it was. But I mean, we're basically getting like a faux bubble with so many players moving to like the Dallas area and the Frisco area. It's ridiculous. But he confirmed there's going to be no bubble, and that he said that all the players this year are going to have to play. Each team is going to have to play from the same facility and the whole team will have to be there in the facility playing. So you will not be able to have players like Formal is going to have to play in
hex quarters.
Right. That's big time news.
That's
so he
huge.
said that Formal and Dashy were going to be moving here as in Frisco at some point like in January. So that's huge news. Every single player from every single team has to move to a certain area or at least be in the same place for events.
Yeah.
That's a lot of like coordination, and for certain guys who like that's like a big time deal for certain players.
Yeah.
I'm surprised we haven't heard more about that.
Well, the fact that most of them are in Dallas too, anyways, so like it's gonna make like online competitive more like, I don't know, real. People are kind of like discrediting it, but like it's gonna give it more, I guess, credit because they're all in the same city at least. So like the ping,
for sure, the ping will be very
different.
small. Yeah.
Or they could even like do like a faux LAN where it's like they go to like got complexity there, right? And they have like their big facility. You have two teams that decide to go there and play. They go online just so casters can get in, but they're literally playing in the same building as two separate teams. So
and that could definitely be potentially what happens.
You put them on opposite ends of the building with a 1,000-foot long Ethernet cord.
They still have two. They still have two ping.
Yeah.
Even on land.
True.
Yeah. Who knows? Maybe that's what's gonna happen.
Maybe.
They just run a LAN cable down the interstate.
Just keep.
But now FaZe might be at a disadvantage.
Yeah, I mean that'll be interesting to see like what teams end up not being in Dallas and how that affects them, like and how the server debate goes. Like, is there going to be a team in LA still where who's going to be playing on the West Coast? Is anyone going to be still playing on the West Coast? I'm not exactly sure about LAG. They're the only one up in the air for me right now. Are they playing in Las Vegas?
Boy,
I don't know.
No chance they make them stay in Los Angeles. LAG, like. We don't like they're like a whatever team, but like at least we all know they're kind of like the good guys.
I need to do my research on them.
The unknown good guys. So like I bet they're gonna let them go to Texas.
I'd imagine they'll be in Texas, but who knows? But yeah, so like the teams who end up not being in Texas, if there is any at this point, that'll be very interesting to see.
Yes.
So that was just really interesting overall. I thought that was really surprising. In that same boat, Hastro tweeted about a little poll actually about potentially rebranding Empire to back to Envy, which I thought was really interesting. I mean, at least last time I saw the poll, it was like split 50-50.
Yeah.
I mean, what were your thoughts on that? Yeah, what are your thoughts?
I mean, I personally, I get wanting to change to Envy. It kind of sucks that like FaZe kind of like skamaz their way through it, and now OpTic is skamazing their way through it, and now LA Thieves have been able to skamaz their way into it, And now Envy's like, we tried to play literally so friendly with you guys, and like now we now we don't have our brand. But also, I really like the Dallas Empire brand, but the Empire is not really the Empire anymore without Clayster. So I say go back to Envy and just take the rebrand. You went back to 4v4, things changed. Clayster's off that like Empire team. Just completely, if you want the Envy, just go for it.
I agree. It'd be cool to see Envy back. Like, I get Empire, and like, you know,
I'm really torn.
Like it makes it harder too because they literally just won champs,
and they have like debatably the coolest branding out of any team.
It is cool for sure,
and they have the NV in the logo, so like they did a really good job with it.
Yeah,
but like if every other team is there, if their technical name is Envious, they can be Envy apparently.
Yeah.
Like that's gotta really piss them off.
I know. That's crazy.
Like, do you want to know what the actual results of the poll were?
Yes.
The poll was 55.8% to Dallas Empire, staying as Dallas Empire, 44.2% as Envy.
Yeah. It did seem like there's a lot of people that did really want Empire to stay. Like they really do like Empire. So I don't know.
I mean, I like the Empire brand, but then I don't know. It's just Modern Warfare is like that was the Empire, and then you get rid of Clay, and then you get rid of 5v5, and now we're on to like a new game. I would just say like new era. It's weird because we started a new era of COD last year.
I know.
And now it feels like we're starting another new era this year.
I mean, if they were ever to do it, it would be right now.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, it would
they have to do it
exactly right now, because then you've got Dallas Envy coming back, rebranding after Chicago.OpTic does.
Yeah.
And so it would be like this would be about the only time you could ever do it. If you're gonna do it, it'd be right now and then never ever again.
Yeah.
I think
honestly, I think in the long term for their brand, it makes the most sense to be Envy, because that's your org's name. If you can be Envy, it's more recognizable to everybody else in esports. And if COD's going to be a long-standing esport, you probably want to be able to people to know that, oh wait, yeah, I like Envy in this esport. I should probably like Envy in COD too, but you may not even know that Dallas Empire is Envy.
No, you're right.
So, like, I think it probably makes the most sense that they would switch back to Envy, and if I was them, I would do it.
Yep.
Although I love the Dallas Empire name, and it sucks to give that up because I think it's really cool, and the branding's dope
and everything. Yeah,
it is really cool.
So I thought that was like really interesting that Hastro even put it out there. I mean, he said, by no means is this meant to be a decision-making poll, but I can't resist asking.
Yeah.
So it was just real. It was cool that he ended up even doing that. That was just really fun to kind of see into his mind about that they were even having that conversation at all. But okay, so again, the other news that kind of happened exactly right after we posted the podcast. Enable.
Yep.
He retired from Call of Duty, which is just a shame. Which is just a shame, man, because Enable is one of the legends in COD, and in 4v4, Enable was always good. And in Black Ops 4, he was good. And then he has one bad year on the most dysfunctional team in the CDL on probably the least telling game in COD history, and then it forces him into retirement.
No. It's crazy. I honestly didn't think he would. I didn't think he would retire. I thought he would.
I mean, when the LA Thieves news came out, where everyone was like, Enable?
Yeah.
Like, they kind of make sense. They're looking for a sub.
Yeah. Like a sub there, or like, I thought he took his chances of, challengers too. Like,
right. Like, sign with 100T and be their substitute player.
So it's like, man, it stinks, but he is kind of grinding the content game now, and I would assume he would sign with 100 Thieves for content.
Maybe. Or at least, yeah. I mean, that's the thing. The problem is 100T is like, you have to be kind of legit to be able to sign with them, which again, I mean, Enable is like legit. He's a legend.
Yeah.
And they just signed Tommy, like we talked about last podcast, but I don't know. I mean, I would imagine he ends up in 100T, right, Rex?
Enable as like a content person?
Yeah.
I could see it. I mean, the whole like Oak Boys are there too.
Boys.
So like, I could see it happening. For me, with Enable's retirement's like, you could see that like he really, even when he got benched, he wasn't as like depressed about it as kind of what you would expect.
Although he was done dirty as dirty gets.
Right, but it felt like he almost like didn't care so much, and that like was kind of telling for me. I'm like, all right, he's sort of like on his way out, and maybe 100 Thieves, like he waited to see like if he got any offers. If he got no offers, and like he knew he had to do challengers, he's probably like, I'm done then.
Yeah,
I could see it. Challengers is tough.
Side note. When you wear Oak Boys hats in public, people are like, "What's Oak Boys?" And you're like, "Well."
How do you explain that?
Yeah, I've had a few fun interactions.
It's this group of guys.
I've had a few interactions with like people I kind of know about like Oak Boys, and they're like, "What's Oak Boys?" And I'm like, "Well, you know, it's like this like gaming thing."
I'm part of this super cool like exclusive club.
Is these really
they
cool
live in LA.
Group of guys, you know, that they're really good and.
It's my only black hat I own. It's like I want to wear it sometimes, and then it's like it gets great for some fun conversations.
That's awesome.
But yeah. Oh no, Enable! Shout out Enable. He's a beast. I will miss watching him play COD. I mean, he's literally been in the scene since Ghosts. Yeah. So it's just like, dang man, tough. Mm-hmm. So let's talk a little about some more Rostermania-ish news now. So we kind of got it all like kind of lined up here. Basically, actually, let's talk about one non-Rostermania thing, and then we'll talk about Rostermania stuff. It was pretty cool. The London Royal Ravens announced this week that Vikstar123 is an investor in their team now.
That's pretty cool.
Like as a co-owner, how cool is that? We got one of the sidemen in the COD League.
That's pretty insane.
Like, and I mean, like for me, that was really, really cool. I mean, I've been following the sidemen literally since before they were the sidemen, like before like 2013. So it's like that was like, dang, let's go, that's sick. So Vic, that's dope. I'm in. Give me some Vikstar in the COD League.
Interesting.
Hype is real.
Yeah.
Hype is real. Let's talk about Rostermania.
Yes.
So, Parasite talked about how he missed out on the CDL spot by one person again, which is what we kind of mentioned that last week because he talked. He like briefly said something about that in the Shout Out I Hold Shifts conversation.
Yeah.
And so that was really interesting. He said, missed out on being a CDL starter by one spot 2 years in a row. Gonna write a book about my career one day, but I'm gonna make sure it doesn't end on a sad note. This is just more motivation to continue to work hard and perform. Know your worth. We go again in a few days. He said, meaning it was between me and another guy, and the other guy got the spot. And Rex, you talked about a Parasite movie, and he said he's gonna write a book one day, so I think you might be on track here.
Dude, Parasite is the one person who definitely deserves like a documentary made about him, like a book for
ESPN documentary.
For sure. Awesome. Most underappreciated person in the, like, I guess he's not in the league, but in the Call of Duty scene, man.
Literally.
Yeah. He's a legend. He is.
He's a legend.
And he is not done. I mean, he's gonna keep grinding. I mean, I don't think the end is anywhere near for him.
I think he has something to prove.
Here's the thing, because like back in the day, like in Black Ops 2, like people knew his name, right? Like a lot of people like, like that's Parasite.
Yeah,
like
he won champs. He's Parasite,
and like he's super good at the game, and like his personality back then kind of had like a bigger personality back then.
He should start a podcast.
I mean, he could do a lot of stuff.
And there's some alliteration. There's some alliteration there. So podcast, like Parasites.
Yeah.
There's some sort of podcast Parasite alliteration there he could make a name about.
Yeah, and he's like a great personality back then. Like he was a legend, and people just like don't see that today. Like
the Parapod.
Everybody hates him. Blah 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 blah. Like they have all this stuff. But like, dude, this guy was like one of the goats. Like back then, like he was so good.
Parapod episode 1. Where is it, Parasite?
Parasite, I'll DM you the invoice for that name.
Yep.
So
you're getting some royalties on that one.
I sure am.
But no, yeah, agreed. Parasite, that's really interesting. Rip to his CDL dreams this year again.
You never know, though.
I think there's a chance.
I mean, I know.
Speaking of our next one, you can say it.
What?
Oh.
No.
Oh.
So, New York, this is some interesting news because it's actually like COVID related with like Europe's kind of like resurgence in cases. They've been more strict with the whole like lockdown travel stuff. And so Hydra, there's a chance Hydra's not able to come to the United States supposedly up until like after the CDL starts. And so that means that the Subliners have to look for another player to fill in for him until he can get to that point. But I don't think Parasite's the guy. They already have Clay. They don't need Parasite.
I mean, well, they're talking it might be a 2AR meta, 2AR, 2SMG. Like I could see it happening.
Well, true. If the FFAR stays as good as it is right now, then maybe it is a 2AR meta for a while. But
yeah, I mean, so I hung out in Clayster's stream a lot, like, cause I really wanted to see how good this New York Subliners team, because I couldn't tell they're gonna be like pretty bad. Like how hyped up is Mac Melts? Is he as good as like he was? You know. And like they did all right, but the people they're testing out as their fourth was Parasite, a lot of Parasite, and then they also played with Fellow a lot. And so like,
good fit.
I mean, and yeah, I mean Clay has teamed with Fellow before on E United, so that wouldn't be that crazy either.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's really interesting. I don't know.
I could see it depending on how the meta goes. If it goes to AR meta, they pick up Parasite. If it goes like they need more of like, I guess, a flex/sub, then they go with Fellow.
I mean,
I could see it.
Yeah.
Because Clay kept saying, that's what I like about you, Chris. He kept saying, that's what I like about you, Paris. That's what I like about you, Haggy. Because he like nerds out. Like he like knows all the little things about stuff.
Oh yeah, he gets so obsessed with the small things. I mean, that's for sure.
And Clay's just like, it's so important to like have people who can do that for a team. And that's what he said he liked about him. So
I mean, again, I can't believe no team has like gone head over heels for Parasite to be like the captain of their academy team.
Paris.
Like that's just mind blowing, to be honest.
Paris. Yeah, dude, what is going on with Paris, man? They haven't tweeted.
Whoa! We're getting ahead of ourselves here.
Sorry. All right.
What's wrong?
We're getting ahead of ourselves here. Okay, 1 second before we get to that. Okay, I think with New York, I mean, Hydra's supposed to be like their main sub, like him and Zuma, like kind of like that. Like,
what about Mac? What's Mac doing?
Mac's their flex.
That's not true. Zuma talked about him being the flex.
Really? Recently? I missed that.
In the stream. I mean, I watched the stream a long time, and like Zuma was like, talk about him flexing and stuff.
The FFAR is so good right now. It's basically like a submachine gun. Like you can literally use no sight on it and then just use it as a sub. So it's like at this point you could just run three. You could easily run 3 FFARs. So it's like depending on what it ends up being, I could see a sim being a potential option for this team if you're trying to replace Hydra directly. Just like a fast-paced guy that like could probably just fill in and be that guy for him.
I think they played for a while too, actually, but not as long.
Yeah, so that could make sense. Another one that like I think Classic could be a guy too. Like kind of been in the scene for a while. That would make a lot of sense as well. So that's something to look out for. I don't know. I mean, if you had to guess, I mean, I would imagine that they're gonna have to pick up somebody. So who would you bet on at this point?
Depends on how the meta goes. Okay,
well, what's your bet?
I want to say Parasite. To be honest, I think it's gonna end up being Fellow.
You think it'll be Fellow?
Yeah, but I think they're also looking for a certain personality. Like they're not looking for like a direct role exchange. They're also looking for a certain personality to like fit in there too, and kind of create this like family culture that we know Glacier is always like big on doing. And I just don't know how easily that's going to be done.
Fellow's really
like,
chill.
Zoom and Mac, and Fellow's super chill with like everybody. Fellow can like get really excited and like talk about strategy and stuff more so than what it seemed like. I don't know, Zoom and Mac were kind of doing.
Yeah,
they weren't nerding out as much as like Parasite and Fellow when they got in. They were just like talking, like all these different.
Which Clay
things.
Loves that.
Yeah, it's just more upbeat. It's morale boosting to have somebody just kind of like always going, right?
Yeah. So I could see that.
Slack would make sense, would he?
Slacked?
Yeah.
Doesn't seem like it at this point. He doesn't seem like the type of guy for him.
If it could, Fellow does seem like a good fit, though. Like, really, truly.
I think if it goes to AR meta, what do they do? Zuma flex?
I mean, Mac can run an AR. I mean, so I'm sure Zuma could probably flex as well. I mean, Zuma and Mac, I feel like could be just fine flexing.
Yeah, but Zuma's like
the flank master.
The thing is like they're both like. Yeah, Zuma's like the flank master, super fast paced. Like he learns his routes super well.
Right, but again, the FFAR right now like, doesn't really stop you from doing that. So like, I think it'll be.
But that's gonna get patched. It's getting patched.
Right, that's the thing. Like by the time they have to actually make a decision on this, like they might not make their decision till end of December, depending on what they're hearing about with the whole France situation. Mm-hmm. So it's like, So I agree. It will come down to meta. I'll put my early bets on a sim. But it could easily change. So
a sim is also one. They just didn't play with him as long. It didn't seem like much was happening there. But I could definitely still see a sim as well. Yeah. But my worry is like the flex. Because you say Mac can flex, but Mac is like technically supposed to be like their cracked kid. You don't want to put your cracked kid on the AR. You want him going head to head with like Simp, like whoever the other subs who are crazy cracked, right?
Yeah. I mean, you also have guys like Celium, though, who's definitely cracked, but he's flexing and, dominating with the FFAR right now. So it's
right, but a cracked AR versus a cracked sub is different. Like, you'd rather have the cracked sub. Like, a person can be an AR and, like, they don't have to be so cracked to be able to do well.
For sure.
How many times do you think we say cracked in that sentence right there?
A lot.
At least 10, right?
Yeah, definitely a lot. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cracked.
It's good. So when it comes to, speaking of slacked, he was playing a little bit with Florida. So obviously, Rip Pharaoh, but like they do have to fill that spot, and like that's legitimately a question mark moving forward about who's going to take that spot.
Mm-hmm.
And slacked has been seen scrimming with them. Mm-hmm. So we're not scrimming, but playing with them in the tournaments right now. Scrim should be starting up here in the next few days. Maybe by the time we had one scrim last night, it was Week.OpTic LA Thieves.
Jeez.
My bad. LA Thieves and who am I blanking on? Oh, Minnesota.
Who did LA Thieves play with? They used Draza.
That's our next news. So that 1 second, calm down. Don't get ahead of yourself again.
We're off the rails.
Yeah, Rex has got his foot on the gas tonight. He is ready. But so that's interesting. But I don't know. I mean, I think Slack does make sense with that roster. You got the whole like LG vibes there. Skies and Slack teamed on LG. And then you'd have
Havoc.
So like
Awakening.
Awakening. I think that could make sense overall as a team.
Yeah.
I mean, does it get me excited? Does it get me excited to have Slack?
No.
Not really. But could they win? Yeah, maybe.
Maybe. Slack seems like such a weird personality to throw into that. Like, you've never seen Slack really hang around with that crowd so much.
True. Very true.
So it seems weird, but like Mutineers are probably also thinking like, gotta find somebody like in Slack.
They're comfortable with him. He's consistent for sure. You know what you're gonna get. So it's like I can see that in that way.
Plus veteran leadership thing,
For sure. And like that is a legitimate like question for them. It's like who's gonna like be that for them. So yeah I mean that could make sense. Yeah, I mean like do you get excited by it? I mean
no.
I think it could work out though.
Yeah, I mean excitement level average. But I could see it working out though. Like Slack didn't have the best 2 previous years.
Right. But if Awakening can be what he was last year, and then you have Skies frying, and then Havoc can just be solid again. I mean, that team could be legitimately solid.
Yeah, it could definitely be a solid team. Top team, I don't know, but solid for sure.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I agree. So, now, LA Thieves. So, in their scrim, multiple times, they played in the tournament now with Temp, and Temp tweeted TS, which is Team Scrim, question mark, and then ended up being Rocker versus LA Thieves with Temp. So, all signs at this point are pointing towards Temp on LA Thieves, which again, this is like a whole roller coaster, because originally we were like, all right, it's going to happen, Temp to 100 Thieves. And then it was like, oh, no, it's not going to happen. Temp's not going to go. And now it looks like that might be the case right now. They've been playing pretty well. I don't know. I mean, again, I think we've all talked about this before. I think we all get pretty excited about the idea of Temp being on that roster. The upside that the roster has seems to be a pretty consistent theme.
It'd be fiery.
I would love to see Temp on that roster.
Right. I mean, Temp deserves to be in the league, so it only makes sense in my mind. And if things go right for him, that's a top 3 roster. I mean, it's right there with the best of them. Yeah. If things go their way. So, for sure. I mean, any other thoughts on that?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
Makes sense.
In other like Challengers / Rostermania news, Zed said that he is going to likely be playing in Challengers, and then he mentioned Den, Scraps, and Wuskin, depending on what their situations end up being as guys that he could potentially be playing with, and then which is at this point looking like that's very possible.
Yeah.
And then Censor said that he was supposed to be the captain of the LAG Academy team, and before things kind of fell through and like they kind of turned on him.
Man, that came out of nowhere.
Yeah, what?
I saw a tweet. What? I was like, what in the world?
It was gets so involved random. In the most crazy drama with this stuff. Like, it's always something, they backstabbed me. What,
right.
Like,
it's
how's
just
this
weird.
happen
Like,
all
for
the
how
time,
nice
dude?
of a guy Censor seems to be, like, he always has drama.
It's so weird. Like, to like have someone reach out to you and be like, okay, you're captain of LAG, and then what happened? Like, nope, sorry, never mind. Like, how's that happened twice now to him? Like, no one that's happened to no one before except for him, and it's happened twice.
I know. Well, he tweeted a clip. And he said, first tournament on Cold War, 1v3 versus LAG last map.
I didn't see that.
And then Assault replied with like asterisk, false advertisement, Academy. And then Center was like, should have just said, team that told me I was captain, then finessed me, in quotes.
Like, what's like a so thing funny. Where like someone was like side talking to him?
I love
like,
Censor.
And be like, hey man, like, or like, you know, talking like, hey, it'd be kind of cool, you know, if Censor was like captain or something like that. And Censor was like, I'm going to be captain of LAG.
I know.
You know what I mean? Like is it an actual
does he jump to
offer?
Conclusions?
He might. Like, he might read in between the lines.
Or people just backstabbing him left and right.
Poor guy. I don't know. He's either the like most victim person in Call of Duty or just like that like reads in between the lines way too much. I don't know.
Yeah. Who knows at this point? It's just absolutely mind blowing.
Still would like to see him though on an academy team or something.
Oh, I mean, like, okay, again, legitimately, like it makes sense for a team to just be like, why not? Let's have Censor captain our academy team.
Yeah.
Okay,
like,
so yeah, here's my take on this. If he does not end up like on a challengers team that like does pretty well this year, like I think he's gonna end up getting like
he'll be done.
He's got to be done.
Yeah,
because like he couldn't get on a team last year because like he was a sub, but then other subs were able to, and he couldn't make it work. And now this year, it's like this year, man, like you got to be good because you should be able to play.
Now it's
like,
now it's
no
back
excuse.
to 4v4, what he supposedly should be most used to, and it's like you know last year was Modern Warfare, so it's fluky. This is his last year. Yeah. He's got to grind. So a team may as well say, all right, here you go. Here's your contract. Let's go for it, baby. Yeah. And we'll use your clout to help develop some players' brands.
Having Censor like in the league is only good.
Right.
Yeah.
Like you're bringing eyes to it.
Like if you're the Huntsman, captain our academy team here, Censor, like
be awesome.
Wouldn't that just make sense?
Yeah.
Or if you're any team, if you're the Seattle Surge and you're like, Censor, here's the academy team, captain it, whoever you want on it, just you know, here you go. And then we'll just make some content together for sometimes like you know, doesn't it make sense for any team to do that?
Oh, absolutely.
So I don't know. I would imagine that would end up happening, but who knows? He seems to be in a weird spot in the CDL, so you never know. So now, Rex, I know you've been holding your foot on the brake, or I've been holding my foot on the brake.
Yeah, you have.
But now I'm gonna let you loose.
He's been slamming.
We've got to get into the highly awaited topic of the week. I mean, this is what we all wait for. I think without further ado, let's roll it.
Let's roll it.
3, 2, 1, fire it up.
What's wrong with Paris?
Welcome to What's Wrong with Paris. What's wrong with Paris, baby?
Paris.
We're back at it again. The weekly segment until Paris says something or does something. Here we are.
Dude, I've been tweeting out very like...
I love your tweets.
Yeah, dude, my tweets, I'm like, it's been 32 days. I think as of today, it's been 32 days since Paris has tweeted anything. Replies, regular tweets, anything. 32 days. And I'm like, that's insane. One, you've not even announced like a roster. You're not talking about the new game dropping and like, you know, rest in peace Pharaoh, but like they didn't even talk about that. It's like, what is going on?
It makes no sense. Like if you were planning on being in the CDL this year, like this is what you're excited about. You're like, yes, we're in the CDL. We're going to make this thing happen. Wouldn't you be like putting out some tweets?
At least like something.
Like at least what's everybody most excited about in Cold War? Like, you know, what your favorite gun in Cold, like literally just
that's what they
something.
Typically, that's what they were tweeting out, was just kind of like rant, like whatever stuff, like nothing really great. But like now they've just gone radio silent. They have no roster, no pros, no anything about anybody ever talking to them. It's like, what happened to them? Is the league?
I know.
Worried?
I mean, yeah, like CDL Intel has no clue what's going on, and he wishes he did, and he was the one most connected with them because of like the Australian connection with him and all those guys. And so it's like, if he has no idea what's going on, they legitimately might just be doing absolutely nothing.
It's either that or they're preparing for like one of the greatest like roster announcement like comeback videos. Like that's what they basically have to do at this point. If they just put out, here's our roster for this year, it's like, dude, you guys haven't tweeted or said anything for over a month. Now you're just gonna casually throw out some random roster announcement. It's like, dude,
I know.
you gotta give you gotta give more. Just gotta be more.
I know. It just makes you wonder if they're like,
I don't know. My thought is that they're trying to sell their spot. I mean, like, what?
I think so too.
But like, I have no other backing of it besides the fact that they're just doing absolutely nothing.
Nothing.
And here's the thing: like, when is there a roster lock time? Like,
no, there isn't apparently at this point. I think it's just before the league starts, which is probably going to be in like mid-January.
Mm-hmm.
So again, like I said last week, I still think we're not going to hear anything from them if they end up playing in this league, which I think they will. If I had to bet, I would imagine
if they haven't sold by now, you have to imagine.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like I would imagine they're going to be in this league, but they're just going to wait to sign people until the end of December, till maybe after the scouting series, and see what they can see. And they're going to pick up whoever ends up being the best out of the scouting series, and then voila, there's their roster. That's what it's going to be.
Do you imagine that they're like scrambling, just like trying to sell their spot and like waiting to the very last minute to like see if they can just get rid of it so they have to deal with it, but then they won't be able to, and it's just going to be just like a total like crap show again until they can wait till next season to sell?
Yeah, like that's very possible. It's mind-blowing though.
But here's the thing, it's like, how do you get into a league and not know, like, to not be able to survive a year?
To have like a 5-year plan. Like, you think if you're joining into a league, you'd have like a 5-10 year strategy.
Yeah.
How you're going to attack this thing, to build your team, build your brand, to build a winning team. Like, what?
I know.
Nothing? Zero? Your strategy is to sign the 5 cheapest players and then see what happens?
And then Splice owns them too, right?
No, that's Toronto.
Oh, that's Toronto.
They own the same team as the Overwatch. Overwatch team.
Who owns Paris Legion? Like, do we know the brand?
A bunch of Paris people?
Yeah.
Okay.
No idea.
But yeah, they own Paris Eternal in League, but
at the end of the day, the question is what is wrong with Paris? And the answer is we have no clue.
Is what's wrong with Paris?
And we have not one idea.
That's always the question.
The question is just always what's wrong with Paris.
Maybe Zed's saying wait and seeing how it plays out. Maybe it's saying how it plays out with Den, Scraps, and Wuskins if they go to Paris or not.
Yeah, which I mean, again, those would be the names you'd expect. Like, I would expect those guys to be on Paris, which would only be reasonable. I mean, they're kind of good. Like, they should probably be on a team. I mean, Contact Gaming LLC owns the Paris Legion.
Oh, yes. No idea.
Yes. But yeah, so I don't know, man. That's the question. That's the answer. That's the question of what is going on with Paris. What's wrong with Paris? Who the fluff knows? No one knows.
They're just
so
radio silent.
Radio silent. With that said, let's talk about some Cold War because we got a lot to go over, and it's going to be a good one.
Let's do it.
And we got Crim versus all the snipers in the world.
Uh-oh.
It's wild. So with that said, let's get into this. Let's hit the drop. Let's go.
This is the price we pay for what we do.
All right, baby. Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War. Let's go.
Woo.
I mean, first of all, I've been having a blast. I'm going to get that out of the way.
Yep.
I really like the core of this game. I want to hear each of your guys' like overarching opinions before we get into the specifics and before we get into the Crim versus the snipers.
Yes.
So overall thoughts. Sam, what are your overall thoughts on this game?
I am very optimistic. So everything in this game is there. I truly do love the gunplay. I love the guns in the game. Every gun that I've used so far is genuinely fun. Like,
yes,
I can pick up a gun and like not feel like, oh, this is stupid. Like I enjoy the gun. Okay, well, maybe 2 things I am a little worried about. So one thing is the maps, which we've already talked about,
and score streaks.
And score streaks.
Yep.
Which it is pretty common now at the last 4 minutes of the game, 5 minutes of the game. It's
hell on earth.
It's just attack helicopter after attack helicopter.
The gates of Hades.
I mean, literally, it's
Open
like
up.
It's like it's like D-Day mixed with World War, or every World War is. Oh my word, it's crazy.
Literally.
And so I get where they were going, which is another topic, but those are my initial thoughts.
Yes. Rex.
I really enjoy how the game plays. Just like gunplay, even just like how the pacing of the maps are kind of working too. Like I really like it a lot. But obviously there's the issues we need to talk about, and
for sure,
not a lot of maps. And honestly, the maps are like actually kind of fun, but just not
they're
competitive.
Decent pubs maps.
Yeah, they're decent pubs maps, but competitive maps, I'm not so sure.
Yeah.
And then I guess we go like the leveling system on the weapons takes astronomically long.
Yeah, exactly. So let's opening thoughts. Yep. Agreed. I want to first cover the Crimsix versus the Snipers. Yes, absolutely hilarious drama. Obviously in this game, one negative is the Snipers are kind of ridiculously overpowered. There's no flinch, which is what we talked about in the beta, and people were complaining about this in the beta. This was one thing that did not get changed. Most things got changed. I was mind blown by how different the game felt from the beta to launch. It was impressive. The movement was completely overhauled when it came to like the speed of things. The ADS felt so much better on launch, and the aim assist felt a little bit better on launch. The sliding felt better on launch. Yep. Great, except the Snipers. They are OPAF. and Crimsix tweeted yesterday, on the 15th, he tweeted, "Snipers are beyond bleeped. Monetization. Run a high sense, then put your high zoom on 0.10 to 0.5 for testing purposes. Last grip tape, and then phase the F up. The aim assist literally will snap onto players if you center close enough." And then he tweeted a clip of him saying, case in point, of him just quick scoping in S&D like tournaments, absolutely dominating.
360, and then no, it's quick scoping.
I mean, like, he didn't stop there. He kept going.
I mean, stop.
Them hit, like, basically him and Pomage like started going at it.
Yeah.
And he was like basically like, "Yo, Pam, 1v1 me. You're trash." Like, he didn't actually say you're trash.
Yeah.
But he said, "Pam, I would run mouse and keyboard and snipe you 1v1. 100 gifted." And then Pam was like, "I would hope you snipe me if you're using mouse and keyboard." But he's like, "Nah, man. That makes absolutely no sense. This is strictly a sniper rifle test. There's no way you should win this, but controller snipers auto aim when ADS is the most ridiculous of any COD. For the first time in COD history, in comp, perma sniping is being considered a role."
Yeah.
Like, you literally only snipe in S&D, no matter the situation, because it's that good.
It's true. And the snipers are pretty good.
And we've literally seen some pros tweeting, like, when have we ever seen pros complain about sniping? Never. That's never been an issue. And in this one, like, legitimately pros are like, "Yo, sniping is insane." And like, players are talking about GAing snipers. GAing snipers, a core part of search and destroy in Call of Duty of the whole history. This has to get nerfed. Thoughts?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's insane. I mean, truly. Like, just seeing what people are doing, and like, not Crimsix is obviously a good Call of Duty player. Like,
he's been around.
Just case in point, right? So like, he'll have some natural skill, but like, to do that sniping and S&D is just like, wow, like, that's crazy. and like I'm sure you've all experienced it too. Is like, you are on a heady gunning someone, and then you get quick scoped out of your mind, and it's like, how is that possible when you should have an enormous amount of flinch? And
dude.
It's just insane. They will take every bullet possible and then kill you.
Right. Dude, when you pair the auto aim with the no flinch,
it's insane. Truly is.
Rex?
I'm taking them. I'm like shooting them. I've gotten a couple like hit regs on. They're like at least like half health, and I'm like still beaming. All of a sudden, quick. So I'm like, dude, there is no chance you would have been able to hit that shot. Like, you have zero flinch if that's what happened. Because like, I've hit you at least twice with my hit markers. All of a sudden, quick scope. Like, dude, nah. And it happened way too many times for it to be a fluke, because like, this is ridiculous.
So 2 content creators were talking about him. This is when Crim really started going off. He basically just went absolutely out. He like posted a copy pasta from the chat. But the copy pasta was, you jump off buildings and spin in circles for 6 straight hours to hit an NRG shot, and when you do, you get a 10-second clip and pat on the back, maybe a quickie from your boys.
Oh my god.
However, unfortunately, did not make the cut to the phase 5. You have no job and your life sucks.
Oh my word.
But he said it was a copy pasta from the chat. But then the guy was like, "We saw the tweet, bro." And he's like, and then he said, want me to post it again? I'll tweet it out. I deleted because you didn't deserve it. Not because I thought I said anything wrong. Seed deserves to be bashed. You guys banded together to bully me offline and we're laughing while you guys did it. And so was I. Bro, Crim was on no chill mode, bro. And the hashtag Crim is a bot, Crimsix is a bot was trending for like a hot minute. And it was just a whole on fiasco. I mean, Crim literally took on face to face every sniper in the literal universe. It was Crim versus everyone who enjoys sniping in this world.
Yeah, absolutely.
And he on then on stream he doubled down and he was like, "I will end you. I will ruin this gun." Like he is now on a mission to ruin this gun. Like I was dying laughing looking at all these things. It was just absolute comedy. But long story short, basically, you can sum it up in 3 words. Nerf the snipers.
Yes.
And this is only good. Come on. Like unless you snipe, unless you diehard snipe, which is like, a portion of people, but like, come on. Even the snipers have to admit is a little ridiculous.
Yeah. Nerf the snipers with just like really the big thing I think is the aim assist, but also the flinching thing is kind of an issue. But
right. So Crim's 3 things were this. He said he actually goes in and says flinch is fine. However, ADS time get buffed, but completely remove auto aim when scoped.
Yeah.
So that's what that could like,
which is what sniping was the past 4 years, 5 years, right?
I don't get the flinch like being fine. I guess
no auto aim was like a BO4 thing, right? When you snipe, there was no auto aim, if I remember right.
I thought it was BO3.
Maybe both.
Maybe both. I don't know, but I guess if you don't have any flinch, but then you don't have any auto aim,
I don't snipe much,
and ADS time gets buffed.
Yeah. Again, so I mean, that's fine with me.
Something.
Right, whatever.
Yeah. I mean, I'm okay with that too, but yeah, definitely like the auto aim thing is way too strong. Like I play on PC, so like I don't even get auto aim at all, so it's like so annoying.
Right. But that's the thing. On the controller, it's just absolutely nuts. So let's talk more about the rest of Cold War. I mean, we talked about some of the negatives. Again, we're going to talk more about negatives because it's just more interesting, I think. But overall, there are a lot of positives. I mean, I think we all enjoy the gunplay. The movement's pretty quality. And, I think the base of the game's in a really good spot.
Yeah.
The guns are great. So that's in a good spot. The negatives is, again, the leveling, like you said, in pubs, it's absurd. That doesn't really affect competitive as much, but like it takes so long to level up weapons. I mean, I'm not even max yet on the MP5, and I have like hundreds and hundreds of kills, at least 600 to 700 kills, and I'm nowhere near max.
Yeah. So I saw a tweet that said like they posted their sniper rifle and said they were almost at 1,000 kills, and they were weapon level 30. Like,
yeah, bro.
Wow,
that's tough. That is bad. Wow,
it's actually ridiculous.
That is insane.
So long. It's ridiculously long. It's
and like some of these attachments,
gonna fix that. They're definitely.
And these attachments like are game changer attachments that you really are trying to grind to get. So they really, I mean, they incentivize you to grind, which I respect from a Treyarch, but like wowzers, it's a grind.
I know. Yeah.
Because like legitimately, some of these barrels are literal game changers for the weapons and make them how good they actually are.
Yeah.
And it's like it's almost demoralizing to grind to. Holy moly.
Yeah.
But
I don't know.
It's
but maybe
an issue.
it'll be fun too. Like once later on, it's like you actually do get it. It's going to feel more rewarding. So there is that aspect too. It's like, but then if you're not making the game too easy.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, they added in because of Warzone. Like that's gotta be why. Like it's like a cross, progressional situation where it's like they want to make you come and play multiplayer to grind for attachments in Warzone. Yeah. I would imagine it's like the whole idea there. To incentivize people to buy the multiplayer to come and play and level up and blah blah blah. So that's probably like the business strategy, and we're probably not going to get that changed, but that is definitely a frustration for sure. Yeah. Score streaks at this point. I mean, they've been trying them in the tournaments to see if there's a way to make them viable. Yeah. But basically, the few scrims we've seen, they've been GAing them, and I think that's where we're going to end up.
No.
Again, and it's too bad because the streaks are in a pretty decent spot when it comes to like usability.
They're fun to use.
And I think they could be competitive. But the issue is the system. There isn't currently a system in place for the competitive side of things to use them in the normal way that score streaks were earned. And so it's like right now they're absolutely unusable. And so there's no way competitively we're going to have score streaks unless they they bring in this new feature in the upcoming month and a half, 6 weeks.
Where like they make it where it's just like either like a kill streak or it's like they lower down the score amount and it resets on death.
Right. They have to make them like what score streaks used to be.
Exactly.
Which I really hope they do. Like score streaks are so big in competitive COD. Like it just adds to that hype, and it would be so nice to have them this year.
Yeah, that's the biggest sad thing for me right now, aside from of course, the maps. Yeah. And I think we need to talk at least a little bit more about the maps for this game. I mean, where are you at with these maps? Definitely not an ideal situation right now. We have 8 maps on launch. What we were worried about last week about the report, it was true. Again, at this point, all the leakers have been like spot on. Yeah. So I would imagine we're gonna get the 3 new maps in December. Hopefully. Yeah. They're good. I mean, I think when's the launch? Like December 16th or something?
Something like that.
I think that's enough time and early enough where we'll probably add them into the rotation, especially when we have this few maps. So if 2 or 3 of them are good, they could potentially all 3 be in the rotation.
Please. So
it's hard to get used to. It's hard to like put your money on any of these maps right now outside of Moscow being a competitive one. Yeah. Clayster tweeted he thought the respawn maps were Cartel, Checkmate, Miami, and Moscow. 4 respawn maps. And S&D maps were Armada, Crossroads, Garrison, Miami, and Moscow. Wow. Oh, I mean, this got a pretty negative or split response in the community. I can't imagine how Armada is an S&D map. That map looks horrible. I haven't yet played it myself.
It's basically USS Texas, it feels like.
Except way worse.
I mean,
there's like ladders you have to climb.
As against that, like Miami, I really didn't like. Like,
yeah,
that S&D is way too weird.
The engagements are so long. Like the engagements are just insane. And again, with the snipers being as OP as they are right now, you have to GA snipers. I feel like if you're playing any of these maps like that, like Crossroads, it's ironic that you go from Miami being a competitive map to Crossroads being an S&D map, because Crossroads is puny.
I know. I can't believe that, honestly.
It's so small. It's like it's like smaller than Frequency was as an S&D map, but yet the engagements are like a little bit weirder because it's either you're like crazy close or like really long range engagements. It's like much different than like how Frequency played. Personally, Crossroads is actually my favorite like pubs map by far. It's really fun.
Yeah.
You can get some high kill streaks. It's like our high kill map games. It's really fun. Thoughts on the maps? Do you have a favorite so far, at least in pubs, or like, do you have any preferences from what you've seen or played in like S&D and or Respawn, Rex?
I mean, I kind of like Checkmate, to be honest. Moscow obviously is like, every time I get Moscow, I'm pretty much gonna vote for it. But I'm not anti-Checkmate either. Like I don't mind it so much. It's kind of fun.
I agree. I think in like the Respawn categories, Checkmate like makes sense overall. So I'm with you there. Miami Hardpoint, like, nah, dude. Clay thinks that's going to happen. How unprofessional, Sam. Oh. I don't know if they could actually hear that or not, but he played some. He had his sound on.
I sure did.
But yeah, Miami Respawn. Oh, I don't want to play Miami Hardpoint.
Like Hardpoint, bro. No.
Miami shouldn't even be a map. Like, just like it's like these, like a alleyway with buildings where people can just like hide in. There's just so many like, dude, dumb hiding spaces.
Moscow's already feels massive.
It does.
Yes,
like,
they're all massive,
enormous,
it's huge.
Like I've played like basically 2 4v4 hardpoints on Moscow so far, so it's a very small sample size. But I have watched a lot of it, and like it still feels slow even when watching the pros play it.
Yeah.
And Miami's the same way. So I don't know. Cartel somehow may end up as the best hardpoint map in my mind, and I hate Cartel.
I don't even hate Cartel. I find Cartel fun to play pubs wise. I would not want to play it competitive. That grass, if I die once from something in that grass, I will tilt.
No, absolutely. That's
you just cannot see. You cannot see.
There's gonna be some Wookiees in there, you know. It's like, holy cow. I love Crossroads personally.
Yeah, it's like a fun map. At least in pubs, I enjoy it. But it's like the engagements in Crossroads are just are just there's no way it works in Respawn. It's too small.
Kind of strange.
S&D is just so weird on the map. Like it's just like trading. It's flooding through mid on the bridges or like down below, like in the middle spots, just flooding and trading.
Yeah.
Like it just plays weird. I'm not a fan.
It is strange.
The bomb locations are definitely a little iffy on some of these maps as well. So hopefully the pros can get some input in that regard.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the overall like thought is that Armada makes no sense from like Clay's perspective. Armada's absolutely trash.
Really don't like that map. I don't mind Armada like S&B. I don't think it's the worst thing ever.
Isn't the bomb like in the very bottom center? One of the bombs, or am I just?
It's in the center? Middle, like left or right.
Yeah, middle. Yeah, there's like one bottom. There's one in the bottom left, and then or middle left, and there's one in the back right. It's like weird bomb spots.
Okay, right. For some reason I thought it was in like the very middle of the ship where it's like all water.
No.
Then on top of that, that'd been a horrible bomb location.
No, it's like top left and like bottom right, or like middle right.
Okay, I think I'm yeah. That's right, because that one Shotzi jump.
Right, yeah, the
jumped
Shotzi
outside.
Jump. Yeah. Shout out Shotzi's glitch jump. Jeez. But yeah, so I don't know, man. The maps are a tragedy right now. If we can get like maybe one new map in December plus 2 throwback maps that are guaranteed to be competitive.
Yes.
Like if we get raid,
competitive throwback.
Raid plus insert anything else. They have slums or in standoff, anything.
Yeah.
If we got raid plus standoff,
it'd be pretty sick.
Oh, don't get me started, bro.
That'd be awesome.
I made a tweet about just imagining how awesome. If you just
that
have the
literally
exact
would make up for all the map, like kind of make up for like those are just really gonna be fun maps in this game no matter what.
Oh, for sure. So it's just crazy. I can't believe they only have 8 maps. Other things that like kind of come out. I want to talk rule set real quick before we finish the episode. Parasite tweeted about the rule set today. I mean, the pros have talked about it a little bit at this point on Twitter, but they're still trying to work through it, playing through different types of GAs and things in their chals. Parasite basically said this rule set is going to need some work. Ban perk greed, limit smoke and trophy usage, keep perk greed in S&D only so you can use cold-blooded and ninja, or outright ban thermals so cold-blooded isn't needed, and restrict perk greed. I don't know. I mean, there's going to be a lot of work needed on some of these things when it comes to like, I agree exactly what Parasite's talking about. Any thoughts specifically?
Definitely with like the whole smoke thing. Like you definitely probably want to do like the GA, like one smoke or 2 smokes. I guess I'm trying to remember what Aches said. Aches had a tweet like saying.
Aches was. I should have found that. But because he was tweeting about the wild cards as well, right? Or the perks. About how that could potentially fit. He said, there you go. He said wild card fix, gunfighter, 1 extra attachment, perk greed, 1 extra perk from any category. And then danger close, 1 duplicate lethal / tactical, smoke still limited to 1, and then keep lawbreaker the same. I think that could make sense. Yeah, but I don't think they're going to change that though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I don't know. Well, the big thing is like with the thermals, like the thermals always come up every year about whether people should be playing with them or not. But now that we have cold-blooded, it's like, okay, but then you have to sacrifice ninja.
Yes, there's no chance.
So you have to keep the greed perk, but then you're just gonna be like, but only for S&D, and you can only use it to put on both. Then it's like, well, if that's the case, what's the point of having thermal, like a thermal at all, right? It's like if you're So
I agree. And I think with the big maps, I say no thermals. The smokes at least create for some flexibility. Where like on Miami, the only way you're able to make any plays is because of the smokes. Yeah. Like, what else are you gonna do? So having a thermal just to counter every smoke, unless you're running cold blooded, now you have that whole debate. Yeah. I think at this point, like unless they're gonna change something about that, you just GA thermals.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you could. I mean, I like thermals, but like, yeah, you can't let them like somebody be able to like quick scope with it, and also the auto aim is gonna have to be like reduced down a lot. So like, it's more like you're waiting for a pick, and then they come through and you can grab it, but it's not gonna be something you can just like run around and like get a good quick scope somewhere. Like you have to like set up and kind of like plan out how you're gonna do, like where you're gonna look.
Yeah, and in a positive note, in that same discussion that they talked about all those things, Envoy said in the discussion that like the day Cold War was announced, the devs hit them up in a group chat from back in Black Ops 4, telling them that like, yo, we'll be listening to you guys this year and hearing your feedback. So that's pretty exciting.
Yeah,
that like there's going to be a much better direct line of communication,
definitely, with
the pros and with the devs, and hopefully a little bit more support. And then when it comes to league play, I think the last kind of like thing we're going to talk about tonight, league play and Codcaster looks pretty good, I think, overall. Yeah. And league play, Vondi continued to confirm it again.
Thank you.
In that talk, that Scump that started the whole situation. Scump tweeted, "How does Call of Duty not get released with a ranked play every year? I am just generally confused. It should be a staple, but it gets ignored. Interesting to think about." And then Vonderhaar said, Let me rewrite that for you. You can thank me later. He said, in quotes, "I'm really thankful for all the hard-working men and women trying to give us a ranked playlist."
I hope that means a ranked is coming. It sounds like it. Please don't be ranked. That's Green Emerald Dragon 7. That's all I ask. I don't want
exactly. That. And then Scump said, "Vaughn, I know I love you, first of all, and of course, blah, blah, blah. You know, speaking highly of the studio all the time. I love you guys." And then Vonderhaar said, "My crew will deliver, period. We are on your side, period. Be good to us." And so this Scump was like, we know you will. I meant no ill intent. So Scump was really on fire this week when it came to like giving some communication for us between pros and between the studio and between Activision and Treyarch. So overall, I think it was a pretty positive week. A ton of news. This was a
I know.
I have one quick
podcast.
Thing.
Yes.
What do we think about allowing the jammers to counter trophies?
What does the jammer do?
It can it's just like
it's basically like a counter UAV.
It will disable. It's like almost like a counter UAV, but like it turns off the like mini map. It turns off like the trophies. Yeah, it's kind of like a mini EMP for like I think like an area. And so like you use it, you throw it out, it's going to disable the trophies. Some people like Easy Mag is saying keep the jammers to counter trophies, but I think it's kind of like a contentious spot on what to do because the trophies do last a long time.
Oh yeah, true. And like right now, because like there's no other field upgrades to use because everything else is GA'd. Basically, you're not useful. Everyone's just running trophies, so you could have so many trophies on the map. It's ridiculous, and because they added in the Gearhead perk, which was not a perk in the beta, which now allows you to earn field upgrades faster,
or you can like hold an extra charge,
and you can hold a second one.
Yeah.
So you get them faster and hold a second one.
Yeah.
So they helped fix our like potential worry with not having enough trophies, but now it might have gone the opposite direction.
Too many.
And there's too many. Yeah. So just crazy overall. But those are the kind of like the debates with the GAs and with the meta we're gonna have to pay attention to in the upcoming few weeks leading up to the Challengers scouting series in the second week of December. So that's kind of where we're at with the COD League and the COD scene and Black Ops Cold War right now. If you haven't already, drop a review on Apple Podcasts, drop a comment on YouTube, hit the notification bell on the channel so you never miss an upload and never miss the podcast, and follow us all on Twitter.
Do it all.
Of course, as you go. So, but as always, guys, I'm Josh SalvationsElite. To my right is Bash_Bo3, and to our farthest right, per usual, is Rex, Shady, Nero. And guys, this has been the best of 3 Call of Duty podcast. We will see you next time. We out.